Welcome back, Commander, to the final video of this Command & Conquer Red Alert LP. The last thing to show off is the Skirmish. I never did it for Tiberian Dawn, and people were asking for it for this game, and might as well. The first things to note are that because of CNCnet and I don't want to say a revival, but the fact that they bring the game out as a free game, thanks to EA in part, there's just many options for you because map makers have come to it and so on. There's also quite a few options already. Namely, you have the tech limit, the units that you would start off with. Higher number of units just means you start with some things like tanks you would start with, and more infantry and so on. Obviously up to the number that you designate. You don't really get to pick what you have, but it does relate to whatever faction you pick. You also have the crates that can show up at random, and when I say random, that is in the best sense of that word. They'll show up somewhere on the map, usually one at a time. I don't think it's ever more than that. As soon as you pick it up, then I guess the timer resets until another one shows up, and so on and so forth. Crates can hold just about anything, so whether or not you choose to pick them up is... you kind of have to be careful of it. A lot of the time it'll be, say, money. We'll see in this video that I pick up a number of crates. I can't remember the exact number. But there's at least one time where it doesn't go so well for the unit in question.
Complete. New construction options. Training.
Skirmish is kind of straightforward. There's not much to really say about it. There's the AI count that obviously determines how many different AI are going to be on the map. The tech level is literally just what you limit the game to. So if you look at the rules.ini file, you'll notice that everything has a tech level associated to it. If it has a tech level under 0, which is the lowest you can go, and effectively prevents you from building anything, if I recall correctly, anything below 0 cannot be built. So that's how you get around mad tanks and so on not being able to be built. Something like the advanced ATS, the advanced submarine, although that was more of a modification. But point aside, you can determine just how much diversity, I guess, you would have in terms of availability to every player, because it affects everybody universally.
Unit ready. Unit lost.
Now, this is kind of what happens. You just explore the map a little bit, and you end up finding people. The AI builds up really quickly.
Training.
And I always have a hard time being able to fight them on even terms. That being said, I'm not allying an AI because I want to cheese it. If I wanted to, CNCnet seems rather lenient, and I believe I could ally just about everybody on the map, which would be boring no matter how you look at it. So, in the interest of at least making this somewhat entertaining, but also that I wouldn't, be pulling my hair out, I will be allying 2 people in this 8-player game. And don't worry, it's not like they're super close apart. I don't use them as buffers, anything like that. It's just I wanted to see how far I could take it. Unfortunately, that whole distance game it's hard to overcome, and we'll see why later in the video. Getting back to the options though, specifically the factions, there's one thing that it's not ever explained unless you go in the rules.ini file, which kind of sucks. Also, this kind of sucks when you just discover a flamethrower tower ready to burn everybody you have.
Unit lost.
So, getting to the factions, there's a number of different nationalities that you can pick, but again,
Construction complete.
all the documentation, as far as I know, just because I don't remember if it's in the manual,
Training.
and if it is, it might be in a different version than the one I have. That being said, the nations offer something different to sort of change the flavor of the day. So if you prefer something like more tanks, you might
Ready.
want to choose, say, Germany versus France or England, and etc. I'll be going through all the various differences just to give a sort of brief overview. Mainly because at this point in the game, I'm building up, I'm trying to attack my neighbor, see if I can do anything,
Deploy here. Construction.
and eventually the game kind of just boils
Building.
down to lengthy operation, so to speak. So, without further ado,
Ready.
let's head on to the nations. The first being England. The only notable thing about them is that they have a higher firepower when it comes to their armored vehicles. So any tank that they would build would have a 1.1 time multiplier rather than just a straight 1. And usually that's only the difference. That's like the highest of differences. It's, as far as I've seen so far, but I haven't looked at all the nations.
Building.
Secondly comes up as Germany. And for sorry, the armor is actually the armor strength, so it just means that they're more resistant. So England would actually be stronger units in the sense of survivability. Germany has 1.1 times firepower, so all their units are stronger, or do more damage. That's probably a better way of putting it. I've basically doomed Orange to loss here because I don't think you can't really build up. Once you lose your construction yard, unless you have the tech level to build another NCV, you're kind of screwed. Back to the nations, we have France, who have a higher rate of fire, which is interesting. I don't quite know what the impetus is towards giving each nation something different. Like, I don't know what would incite the developers to give France a higher rate of fire. You know, thinking about their weapons or their anything, I don't know what the mindset is in particular. I guess technically you could say the England tanks and World War II higher defense, but anyways. Ukraine has a faster ground speed. Again, the multiplier is 0.1, higher than everybody else. USSR actually has faster build times, lower costs, so everything is cheaper, but by 0.1. So how much of a difference it is hard to tell. Next we have Greece, who seem to be a bog standard nation. There seems to be no advantage or disadvantage. Sadly, Turkey also appears to be the exact same, and the same also applies to Spain, which seems very strange. I guess the other thing too to note is that nothing ever, there's no increase while also simultaneously having a decrease elsewhere. In the sense that you don't see Ukraine having a higher ground speed, but also a higher cost. Or maybe like a longer build time. Obviously, because it's a rules.ini file, there's leeway for other people to change this by a very high degree, myself included, if I so choose. Or, you can make it interesting by having that sort of handicap if you were playing against a friend. In that you, say, could put Spain as this amazing nation, but against 3 other people. Anyways.
Construction.
So, yeah, it goes back to the whole, there are three nations in the selection that offer no benefit, but also no disadvantage. But at the same time, England has a straight up bonus, Germany has a straight up bonus, France has the same thing, Ukraine, and the USSR. So why would you ever pick anything like Greece, Turkey, or Spain? I don't know. I'm kind of scratching my head over this and trying to figure it out in real time. And it's just not really coming to me. So.
Building.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir.
I should mention that I don't know if it's due to just how the AI works or if there's something else at play, but it should be noted that I don't think any other AI builds anything in terms of super weapons. So it's kind of going to be a bit of a lonely field on that end, which is actually going to be really nice because, yeah,
Yes, sir.
there would probably be a lot of issues if everybody had super weapons.
Building. New
Yes, sir.
construction
Acknowledged.
options.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. At once.
Building.
Report. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Ready at once. Ready and yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Inspection requirements.
Vehicle report. Waiting order. Yes, sir.
This is also another reason as to why
Reporting.
I don't really like skirmish maps.
Awaiting order.
I mean, I don't really like skirmish in general.
Awaiting order. Yes,
There's just something about it for Command & Conquer that, I don't know, I have a hard time getting behind. I think it has to do with the fact that there's just so little diversity that I've already touched on with regards to technology and upgrades and so on.
Affirmative.
And it really comes to a point when I'm playing skirmish because
Affirmative.
it just feels like my games would devolve into the exact sort of
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
line of progression when it comes to building and so on. And obviously that's not,
Acknowledged.
you know,
Yes, acknowledged.
I don't really have much to base that on, and if I got infantry rushed, I'd obviously have to change my tactics and so on.
Awaiting. Affirmative. Yes,
But
yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
it's still one of those things that,
Affirmative.
I don't know, it's hard to get behind.
Building.
It doesn't help that,
Affirmative. Affirmative.
I mean, I'm 12 minutes into this, maybe more closer to 11, and
Yes, sir.
there are no resources. In fact, the only ore field that is in any way like large or that could sustain
Acknowledge.
some sort of economy is off to the 8 o'clock.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Waiting. Acknowledge. Yes. Affirmative. Wait. Acknowledge. Yes. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Wait. Affirmative. 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 Waiting. Affirmative. Reporting. Reporting. Acknowledge. Yes. Affirmative. Waiting order. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Construction
Yes.
complete.
Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirm. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
So, with all the nations covered and
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
my reservations for skirmish kind of out in the open, this is kind of sort of the
Yes, sir.
thing about skirmishes is, you know, thankfully ore regrows.
Acknowledge.
Maybe it's just I picked a bad map, which is entirely possible. Like maybe this is supposed to be for 4 players rather than the 8 I put on.
Acknowledge.
But it still just shows that
Waiting order. Acknowledge.
Red Alert just isn't 100% there yet at the like fine level of tuning where everything just flows well. At least, you know, when it comes to economy and multiplayer matches and so on.
Vehicle. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Yes. Affirmative.
It's also kind of curious that, with regards to how the AI plays,
Reporting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir.
I don't know specifically what influences their decision,
Affirmative. Yes,
other than whatever the rules.ini file might have. So it's interesting to see that not many of them have, in terms of the AI here, not many of them have really dug deep into their tech level. There's not too much in terms of progression, admittedly, but I don't think anybody builds a tech center in this entire match. And if anybody did, I clearly missed it. There's also something very weird here. You'll notice that my units are now being attacked by green, or light green, or whatever, which is strange because I was allied with them. I don't quite know what forced the game to change that.
Affirmative. Waiting orders at once. Vehicle ready and waiting.
It kind of led me to panic a little bit because there's, again, I don't have an economy here. There's not much for me to really rebuild. I can't afford to.
Acknowledged.
So my only offensive power right now is my nuke.
Acknowledged.
Thankfully, I can re-ally the units or the factions that somehow just de-aligned me or whatever, or broke their agreements. I'm expecting a negative value on their reputation. But maybe I've played too much Total War recently for that.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
A-bomb ready.
Yes, sir.
Ultimately, it's just kind of leaves me puzzled, and I don't really know how
Select target.
I would have addressed the issue
A-bomb prep.
had I not been able to just realign with them. Yeah, nukes kind of lose all their luster in multiplayer matches. It's probably something to do with the lack of a flashing light and, pause on the screen. Or at least pause in the action. It just, I guess, turns nukes into a very ho-hum, oh, well, it happened affair,
Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
And again, this is sort of the issue that I came up with the Skirmish, is that
Awaiting order. Acknowledged.
you're so tight on funds that the AI can't really do much, and neither can you. So
Vehicle reporting.
everything just takes that much longer to kill and to eliminate. All the patches of income, they regrow, but they're very slow. And honestly, if you really wanted to dick around and hurt the AI, you could just hurt units on top of the ore. You can't mine ore if they're, busy occupying the patch.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Or you could just destroy the ore as soon as it spawns. Mostly because I think it spawns in the same spot. But don't quote me on that, I'm really not sure.
Yes, sir.
I have a feeling that ore always respawns at a specific point first,
Vehicle
but
reporting.
maybe it's just confirmation bias or something.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, this is sort of what it devolves into. Very small unit counts, not much in terms of tech level, and it's just kind of more of a hassle than you'd think it should be.
Acknowledged.
Training.
Affirmative.
The fact that I'm playing AI doesn't help either. I mean, there's no real opportunity or reason for me to use, say, a mobile gap generator, or even just a regular gap generator.
Yes, sir.
While helipads would probably be nice, and ultimately, I don't see much in the way of anti-air capability. There's a couple rocket infantry, here and there on the map, sure, but if I had one helicopter pad, I could probably win.
Vehicle affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Waiting for affirmative.
I'm talking about money and all that. Obviously, there's things that I could do differently. Just on, review of this video. Namely, I should probably get myself a mechanic, even if it means selling a, cheap building or defense here or there.
Reporting. Affirmative.
I should probably also wait for Tanya to show up, because then I wouldn't have to deal with having to crush units, rather than just, blasting away with the dual Colts.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
On top of that, the fact that the AI is really good, or just really annoying at selling stuff really quickly, just means that I'm giving them an opportunity to sell a structure with good reason, and have them repair everything they own, which just delays everything. When really I could just, wait an extra 30 seconds, have my Tanya show up, and then blow stuff up without any retaliation. Other than whatever crap spawns outside of a, exploding building.
Acknowledge. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Another thing that gets very annoying, and has been mentioned in the thread,
Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir.
is the fact that even if I ally the AI, for whatever reason, they really do enjoy driving over your units, which is honestly a really unfair advantage, because you can't.
Reporting.
So they can go around driving tanks into your ground forces, smushing a Tanya you paid $1,200 to get twice, and you can't repay the favor.
Yes, sir. I'm there. Yeah? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Building.
What's up? I'm there. Let's rock. Let's rock. What's up? I'm there. Yes, sir. I'm there.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. I'm there.
Insufficient funds.
Let's rock.
Yeah, other than like one artillery, maybe two that we've seen so far, some V2s, a bare handful of medium or heavy tanks, there's nothing in the way of, I don't think I've seen an attack dog even though they all build the den or kennel for it.
Affirmative.
No mammoth tanks, no flamethrower guys, not even a Tesla trooper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Yeah, let's rock.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Yeah, baby.
Vehicle. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
43. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
And meanwhile, I know I can't really do much because I, again, don't have money.
Affirmative.
What's up?
Unit
Let's rock.
lost.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting.
Yes, let's
Affirmative.
rock.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Affirmative.
rock. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Reporting. Affirmative.
Yeah, it's at this point where there's not really much else to show. Combat remains the same. I'm basically just cleaning up for the rest of this match. And sure, I should probably like unalign myself with whoever else is on the map, but call it the benefits and advantages of, doing this sort of strategy. Yeah, sadly, I really don't know what else to say. Other than, I guess I should thank everybody who's actually been watching the videos, commenting in the threads especially. I always love seeing people chat about stuff in the threads. Spoilers not included, of course. I honestly forgot that that would happen. For whatever reason, I figured, well, the tech center's up and I have the satellite, so, you know, I should be able to keep my view everywhere. But nope. Lose the tech center, and apparently you lose the connection to the satellite, which I guess makes sense. But yeah, I definitely want to extend my thanks to everybody who's been watching this stuff, and obviously the people who are excited for Tiberian Sun, and so on. It's definitely been an interesting ride so far, just with the fact that I've gone through Tiberian Dawn, never having played it, and revisiting Red Alert. It's always a fun trip down memory lane for me. So, I figured that with the fact that I, at one point, had, like, I don't know, damaged or taken out the first AI, my allies decided to turn their weapons against me. Apparently, if you just outright nuke them, that doesn't happen. Which I thought really would have, but hey, whatever. Sadly, you also can't capture their buildings. If you're allied to an AI and you select an engineer, it'll just go repair it. Which makes sense, but I wasn't about to, you know, damage a structure, then cut ties with them, capture it, and then redo the whole mess. And yeah, there's another issue with, for whatever reason, Green just wants to send some guys next to my ore truck, and I end up having it stuck for a little bit anyways. And since there's 3 less people on the map, it means that at least when ore like regrows, you've got at least some opportunity to, you know, harvest it. Yeah, that wasn't my smartest move in the world. I just figured I need something to work with, you know? Something that'll kill buildings, and I have the opportunity to build, you know, only one. Again, because even though ore is regrowing, don't have that much money coming in. This also gets to be really weird. We can see that I've destroyed Light Green's base almost entirely. I think the last thing they have is a radar dome. And somehow they get a construction yard back. Later out, it turned out that certain crates will actually give you an MCV, so go figure. I think they get 2 of them, because, yeah. Something I don't think I noticed, and I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that the nuke actually relies on the player having power. And because I'm out of power, I don't get to use my nuke for quite some time. And yeah, it's a little cheap that, you know, I'm allied to 2 guys and they just have a ton of units in my base. Although, to be fair, if those 2 actually wanted to use their units to, I don't know, take out our common enemy, they're more than welcome to. They won't, but they're welcome to. I was pretty desperate to kill refineries, because I just wanted them to, you know, stop. And at this point, I'm just doing cleanup. I'm tired of them having units in my base, and I'm almost done anyways. Yeah, it's probably cheesing this a little too hard, but you know, you get an hour into a level or into a skirmish, and you know, just want it to end a little bit. I still think it's crazy that they've just had so much in terms of, you know, income to buy stuff, and yet they're still never inclined to get anything more than infantry. Obviously, sometimes it's not fair to say because they couldn't build anything but that, but still. In any case, as long as nothing changes, this will most likely be the final video for Red Alert. And with that, I can only say that I'm incredibly thankful you're still watching, and I hope you'll stay tuned for when Tiberian Sun gets its time in the light.
A-bomb prepping. A-bomb launch detected.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Vehicle acknowledged. Reporting.
Mission accomplished.